Previous lecture, we have studied peak reading voltmeter, that Cheb and Fortescue method, right? Now, actually, voltage divider based peak reading voltmeter or crest meter we have to study. But that uses capacitive divider. So, before studying that, let us finish capacitive divider and capacitance in series with ammeter, just like resistance in series with ammeter we have studied earlier. Capacitance in series with ammeter. So we have seen earlier resistance in series with ammeter. Do you remember? So for AC voltages, how this setup will work, let us see. What is I? C dV by dt. Right? So this can measure AC voltages very easily. But there are certain difficulties. Let us see what those are. Now, that ammeter is RMS reading meter. So if that is so, what will be the current in RMS value? I equals to IRMS, let us say. Let us take V as RMS voltage. V by 1 by J omega C, right? This is equal to this becomes I equals to J omega C into V. Okay. So it is simply the RMS voltage, RMS value of the current is simply proportional to RMS value of the voltage. Right?
Yes, sir.
Now it can easily measure the RMS voltages. But what happens if there are certain harmonics? Suppose V1, V2, V3 are harmonic voltages. What is the RMS value of input voltage?
V1 square plus V2 square.
V2 square plus V3 square plus dash 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 Vn square. Right? If there are nth harmonic voltages. Now what will be the current in the capacitor?
I'm not getting that, sir.
What will be the current?
Say sir, at 1 I1 whole square plus 2 times of V2 directly proportional to the frequency.
Yeah, so since rth harmonic current is simply J omega is this fundamental frequency I am taking, R into C into VR, right?
Yes, sir.
Because frequency becomes R times. Therefore, the current will be like this. So, if you measure the current, then what will happen here? See, each voltage is multiplied by R times, right? So, the RMS value of the current will be like this, right? V1 square plus 2V2 whole square, 4V2 square plus 3V3 whole square, 9V3 square this quantity multiplied by j omega c plus dash dash dash. Right? So, will the current, the measured current, the RMS value of the current, does it represent the RMS value of voltage now? RMS value of the voltage is this. But what we are measuring from the meter is this one, this quantity. So suppose if you have calibrated the meter for fundamental voltage, then if it contains different frequency components, then this is the problem with this. So you may calculate approximately how much error it will cause and all. For example, assuming certain 5% of third harmonic. Okay, so 1, 3, 5, 7, etc. are harmonics normally present in the system. So you may compute an error. So, this is one of the problems with capacitance in series with ammeter. Okay, so any way to avoid this problem? So we have to use capacitors, but it should be independent of frequency. So in case of resistors, resistive dividers, first we studied resistance in series with ammeter. And what was the problem, if you remember? What was the requirement for that resistor? Resistance in series with ammeter.
The flow of high current.
Huh?
The flow of high current and get voltage drop, such that overprotection can be.
No. Variation of its resistance with temperature. Okay. That was the problem. So, value of the resistance changes with, voltage, changes with temperature. These were the problems. But in that case, as a next step, how it was, solved? By divider, by going for a divider, right? So the low voltage, that low arm resistor, if you make it also similarly like high voltage resistor with same material and then same temperature coefficient and same voltage coefficient, then the effect of temperature coefficient and voltage coefficient got cancelled. You remember, I hope. Now similarly, if omega is causing a problem with one capacitor, so we can consider such a setup where there are two capacitors and we will be measuring the voltage instead of current, the voltage of the second capacitor, the bottom capacitor, C1, C2, right. Now this voltage can be measured using a cable and then connecting it to oscilloscope. So this is grounded. Here some terminating resistor is needed. This way we will talk later, we will consider later. But C1 by C2 you consider now. This is high voltage and this is grounded. Okay. Now if you ignore the cable and then cable impedance and then connected impedance, then C1 by C2, if C1 and C2 are the capacitors, what will be the voltage? V1 in terms of V2.
V1 into C1 divided by C1 plus C2.
V1 into
V1.
V1 equals to V1 equals to.
The V1 or V2?
We have to measure V1, right? V2 is the quantity that is available for us through oscilloscope, say. So V2 into
C1 plus C2 divided by
C1 plus C2 by
C2.
by C1. So this everyone understood, right? Inversely related to its capacitance C1. So V1, so actually you can easily derive this one. V1 by total impedance faced by V1. How much it is? 1 by j omega C1 plus 1 by j omega C2. This is the current, right? V1 by total impedance is the current. This current should be same. This is equal to V2 by 1 by j omega C2. Simplify this, you will get that one. V1 is equal to V2 into C1 plus C2 by C1. Now if this cable, see the measuring cable will also have certain capacitance, measuring capacitance Cm. So in that case, where it will reflect? If we were to consider the cable capacitance also.
So in parallel with half is parallel with C2 and half is parallel with the resistance, output of the resistance.
No.
It will affect in the V1, sir.
V1.
At V2 junction, some current will be diverted towards the cable if we consider its impedance.
V2 into C1 plus C2 plus Cm it will come. It will be parallel to C2.
Yes, sir.
By C1. The bottom capacitance, whatever I have written, is C1. Please note. The denominator is C1. It's not visible, I think. Is it visible?
No, sir.
It's not visible. So it is C1. So V1 equals to V2 into C1 plus C2 plus Cm divided by C1. That's what I have written. Now, among these two capacitors, which should be of high value? Which should be of high capacitance value?
C1.
You have to tell logic also. How did you think like that? This is cable. So V1, this is V2. V1 equals to V2 into C1 plus C2 plus Cm by C1. In your opinion, C1 should be of high value?
Yes, sir, because the voltage is calibrated in terms of V2. If C1 is of high value, then we will get V2 nearly equal to V1.
Hmm? Everyone agrees with that? Hmm?
C2 should be higher, sir.
C2 should be higher values. Why?
Because we do not desire for the current to divert towards CM. So C2 should be larger, then it will provide low impedance path as compared to CM.
Hmm. The C2 should be larger so that the current will not go through the CM. I am asking the relative values of C1 and C2. Let us come back to CM later. Okay. First let us discuss about the relative values of C1 and C2, which should be
C2 high. If C2 is high, then V1 is directly proportional to C1 and V2 is directly proportional to C2.
If C2 is high, what will happen in your opinion?
Then opinion is the V2 is directly proportional to C2, voltage across the C2. And at similar way, just like a resistor divider, voltage will get divided.
What should be the logic actually? Suppose you want to measure very high voltages, okay? Then which should be more, which should be less, with some logic? Can someone tell?
So C2 has higher capacitance and that's why it will have lower impedance.
Which
so
one?
The drop across the C2 will be less as compared to C1.
So you mean to say that C1 should be small?
Yes, sir. C1 should be small as it has higher impedance, so voltage drop across C1 would be higher.
Yeah. So C1 capacitance should be less than C2. Okay. See, if you get voltage V2 approximately equal to V1, as someone said, then you are inviting high voltage to measuring device. V1, V2 should never be equal, right? So measuring voltage V2 should be very much smaller compared to the high voltage. Then only you can measure safely. So V1 and V2 should not be equal. And V1 by V2 ratio, V1 by V2, if you see this equation, C1 plus C2 plus Cm by C1. Right? V1 is inversely proportional to C1. So V1, if you want it to be high, C1 should be low. And if the ratio V1 by V2, if you want it to be more, then C2 should be more and C1 should be less. That's the only way. Right? So this impedance of C1 should be high. Z should be high. Impedance should be high means impedance of capacitor is given by 1 by j omega c. So therefore C should be small. Z to be high. This implies C should be small. Okay, C1. Now everyone agrees that C1 should be smaller value, C2 should be higher value. Now, which capacitor will be of larger size? C1?
C1 has to be larger size.
C1 should be larger size?
Because it has to withstand the entire voltage drop across it.
Is that the only reason? Yes, that is one reason. Because across C1, very high voltage will be there. Okay. But C1, the value is also very much less than C2. How it can be achieved?
Sir, actually A naught by D. Actually D inversely proportional to the capacitance. Like that.
So D should be more for C1.
Yes, sir.
Area should be less for C1. So D should be more means its height should be more. Okay. So compared to capacitance C2, C1 will be huge in size. Not only because of high voltages that it has to withstand, but also its capacitance has to be very small. Right. Typically, C1 is in picofarads and C2 in nanofarads. Now, through measuring cable, okay, if I connect to oscilloscope of low impedance, then what will happen?
Loading effect of the
Here loading effect will be there. So this need to be understood. I will draw it again. Before this, I will give a little bit constructional details, or this is C1, this is C2. C2 is completely shielded in a metallic box. Here again there is a guard electrode G and there is a central electrode M here, and then this is HV electrode. Actual exact construction details I will give you in the next class. Coaxial type of capacitor is famous for this purpose, to avoid external influences. See, even in this case, you see, there are two plates separated by this gap, right? So, even in this case, there is a scope for, interference from atmospheric fields or surrounding fields, which will tend to terminate here. Of course, the central electrode is so small and then so close. It may be assumed that the uniform electric field will lie here and the capacitance value will be more or less constant, not influenced by these effects. But still, very accurate designs are available. Why C? This capacitance C is very important, This high voltage capacitance, its accuracy is very important. All the measurements depend on the value of this capacitance. Okay, its constructional details we will cover in the next class. Let us now see about its connection. Now I am simply drawing the C1, C2 like this. Assume that it is constructed in the manner I have given you just now. This is C2. Now here a measuring cable is there. Now the measuring cable capacitance is Cm. So it will anyway come in parallel with that. Right. But to terminate the cable and connect it to oscilloscope, often terminating impedance is used. So this complicates the problem, R or Z, whatever it is. So Z, if you say. So under steady state, C2 and Z will be in parallel actually. 1 by j omega C2. Z should be more than 1 by j omega C2. Now C2 is a larger value and Z should be more than 1 by C2, 1 by j omega C2. Now if Z is of capacitance value, just capacitance, say 1 by j omega C should be greater than 1 by j omega C2. So in that case, what will happen? C should be less than C2. So this is the condition. Terminating capacitance. So it often becomes a problem to terminate like this. So to avoid the loading effect, instead of connecting it to an oscilloscope like this, an electrostatic voltmeter, that low voltage electrostatic voltmeter is connected at this end. Why electrostatic voltmeter? Suddenly, why did I bring electrostatic voltmeter here?
It has high input impedance, sir.
Yeah, it has high input impedance. Why it is having high input impedance? What is it basically? Electrostatic voltmeter.
The capacitor, sir.
It is a capacitor. Basically, it is a capacitor, and whose gap etc. will be higher than C2 here. That's why it has less capacitance. Okay, so that's how electrostatic voltmeter will have high input impedance. The electrostatic voltmeter being again capacitor, so with higher space means lesser capacitance, so the loading effect will be minimum or negligible. Okay, so this is about voltage dividers, capacitive dividers. Any questions on this?
So this electrostatic voltmeter is connected in place of oscilloscope is without capacitor divider only, no, sir?
No. Without capacitor divider means
that you have said the three capacitance is connected in parallel in electrostatic voltmeter, capacitor divider and guarding capacitor and main capacitor.
Oh no, this is low voltage electrostatic voltmeter. Okay,
Okay, sir.
this is not high voltage electrostatic voltmeter. Electrostatic voltmeter can be designed for low voltages also, right?
Yes, sir. Low voltage electrostatic.
This is just low voltage electrostatic voltmeter. It is not, if you directly have high voltage electrostatic voltmeter, again voltage divider is not needed, right?
Okay, sir.
So that's what it is. So voltage divider, and from the divider you are connecting it to a low voltage electrostatic voltmeter just to avoid the loading. Okay. So loading becomes problem for capacitive divider. It doesn't become that much serious problem for a resistive divider. Now what about measuring DC voltages with capacitive divider? Any problem? Can we measure or not?
Yes, the problem is there, sir.
What is that problem?
Yeah, if the capacitor shows the infinite input impedance and that measuring equipment we are connecting in parallel, that cause loading effect.
Measuring equipment will have loading effect. Which measuring equipment?
If we connect a low voltage electrostatic voltmeter connected in parallel with that C2, which have infinite impedance in case of DC, because frequency is 0, input impedance is infinite.
That is good only, right? How that becomes a problem?
Because in parallel input impedance of electrostatic voltmeter, if it is not infinite in comparison, that it will cause a loading effect.
See, anyway, all are capacitors only. Here also capacitor only. Where are you expecting loading effect? All are capacitors only, right? Everywhere infinite impedance, right? So this is not the problem. But can I connect an uncharged divider directly to a high voltage DC?
No, so resistance is not there, so it will charge suddenly.
So when you are connecting this, caution should be maintained or taken that it should be connected to HV through a resistor of adequate resistance, right? So that there is certain time constant to reach it to maximum when you are connecting it to DC. Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Will it affect the measurements? Connecting a resistor. Under DC. I am asking under DC.
No, sir, because at steady state, the capacitor voltage will reach to its full DC voltage. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because sudden.
Yeah. Only initially it is problem, but after that, under steady state, there is no problem, right?
Yes, sir.
It will reach the full voltage, so it's not a problem. Only you are avoiding sudden charging of the divider. Okay. Next, whether the ratio will change, voltage ratio, or V1 equals to still V2 into C1 plus C2 plus Cm by C1 or not?
Same, sir.
Same. And then what about impulse voltages?
Case of short circuit.
Impulse voltages of different frequencies. Impulse waveform we have studied, standard impulse waveform, standard lightning voltage waveform, standard switching voltage waveform. What is its times at least? Zero frequency means it is DC. You don't remember 1.2 by 50 microsecond? Do you remember or have you forgotten already?
Yes, I will remember.
1.2 by 50 microseconds. So typically in microseconds. So if picofarads are used, what will be the impedance? Battery is 5%. Okay.
Megaohms, sir.
Huh?
In megaohms.
No, 1 by, it is picofarads. Picofarads means 10 to the power of minus 12 into frequency 10 to the power of 6. Acha, you are telling the answer. Mega ohm range, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Still not a problem. Okay, so with adequate design, appropriate design of C1 and C2, it is possible to use it for impulse voltages also, the capacity divider. Of course, in impulse case, what has to be taken care, when we connect it through a measuring cable, so impulse is in a single shot, right? Once it is done, then at that instant itself we have to measure, unlike DC and AC. But in DC and AC, the voltage waveform is continuously available. So if it is continuously available, when measuring cable is connected, the measuring cable reflects and then settles down to a to the value based on its impedance. But in case of impulse waveform, so after this voltage application, the wave, it is a wave phenomena now. The voltage travels along the cable and reaches the measuring device, maybe it's an oscilloscope or whatever it is, and then there at that end it gets reflected and then comes back. So depending on the resistance at the other end, the reflections reflected magnitude will change. That we will study when impulse voltages are to be measured. Okay, so this is about capacity divider. We will continue tomorrow. Any other questions? Okay, so let us continue tomorrow. Any other questions? Okay then.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.